What I thought would be fun to do is kind of we had two of our adults compete in a kind of bigger local tournament, Grappling Industries tournament down in New Hampshire. And what I thought would be fun is a lot of times you see like tournament walkthroughs or technique walkthroughs, and you can kind of dissect specific techniques and strategies. But what I wanted to do here is from the perspective of what I go through as a coach when I'm watching any of my students compete or train, especially sort of at the beginner level. So if you're a beginner, if you've been competing for a couple years, this is probably going to be really helpful for you to see where big concepts can kind of break down into some of these individual matches. As a coach, if you're focused too much on the individual specific details, your students will miss some of the bigger concepts. And so they'll find themselves against an aggressive opponent or someone who has, really good gas tank. They're putting the pressure on, and their mind is overly fixated on a specific grip or a really specific setup that they're trying to do, and they miss some of the bigger concepts regarding where your frames are at, how to your feet, where they're posting on the hips, some of the zoomed out perspective. Hey, if I'm on top, I'm either smashing or I'm creating space, and I'm using fast passing. I'm throwing the legs to the side. I'm doing some of these sort of bigger gross motor movements. And so what I wanted to do is sort of look at a couple of these matches. They both did really well. They competed in gi and in no gi, and lost some, won some. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of look at some of these matches and sort of pull out a couple of the core concepts, I think, to kind of break some of this stuff down. All right, this is Dom's first match. So one of the things that we have here going on is he's working on takedown grip fighting. The guy shoots in on a single, almost kind of gets him down. It was kind of just a reach for the single leg. He does it again. And Dom has the underhook, but he switches as the guy kind of pummels under for an underhook. He switches to sort of over the back and then tries to do sort of a hip toss judo throw. The problem is that he's not controlling the underhook, and he doesn't control the far arm. So one of the ideas is really prioritizing your underhooks in the standing position. Until you become really comfortable in how to control an individual's angling towards your back, you have to keep the underhook. Whoever has the underhook, especially at these beginning matches, sort of beginner level matches, pretty much typically is going to come out on top. And he does it again. So he misses the underhook. The guy goes to his back and he kind of throws him over his back and does just a scrambly escape. They stand back up. He does it again. His opponent grabs the underhook, and so he tries to sort of do like a sacrifice throw, sort of kind of like a lapel drag style, but he doesn't have the underhook. And so what happens is his opponent again crawls to his back. He kind of flips him over, trying to go for like a scarf hold. But anytime you don't have the underhook, you have to control the far arm. And what that far arm does is it prevents the person from getting the angle where they circle to your back. And so he starts to grab it kind of late in the game, and you can see where the angle already shifts. And again, the guy takes him down, gets him top, side control, gets the points, and continues to control sort of the underhook. And so Dom here is really scrambling, trying to regard, and he ends up getting his guard back here in a second. This is actually funny. His first match, he got so I don't know if it's nerves, I'm not sure what it is. He's done this a couple times. When he first started training, he did it as well, just like the adrenaline dump, and then he just, right before this match, found a trash can and just throws up hardcore. Like, I come running over there because I was coaching a kids match, and I just see him leaning over the edge, just yakking. Literally wipes his face, gets some water, walks out onto the mat, and then does this match, and you can see he's like just completely gassed, has no energy. And then a couple matches in, he kind of gets his stride again. So they're playing guard now and working through this stuff right now. In this spot, Dom's doing a decent job of preventing him getting to mount. He keeps blocking the knee. He's not hip escaping, he's not framing, but he is at least stopping the mount attempt. The guy goes for sort of an arm bar on the near side arm. So he has the head control, scoops the arm, he kind of doesn't go full knee on belly, but he inserts his knee to go for that near side arm bar. And Dom very quickly back rolls to start an escape. It's a fairly decent setup. I mean, I'm surprised he hit it. Dom does a good back roll, stacks, keeps pressure, pulls the arm out, and he just has nothing. Dom has nothing in this part. Normally he's really good circling to the back control, that kind of stuff, and he's just hanging on for dear life at this point. Again, get off your knees, get off your butt. You need to be on your toes. Even if you're in a crouched position, we work really hard to lift our knees up off the mat, even if it's by an inch or two, where the weight is on your toes and your opponent is carrying all of your weight and pressure. You can see here, he's just kneeling on the ground in front of his opponent, hanging on with his arms. Again, so he's gassing himself out. He's exhausted. The guy stands up. He just drags him to the ground. Oh, Dom goes for a crazy throw again. Again, without controlling any underhooks. So the guy gets thrown to the ground, but comes right up onto his back. Transitions, he can't escape, he can't roll out. Eventually they just sort of give up, and right here, guy takes a super sort of lazy butterfly attempt sweep, but then just keeps climbing to his back. And Dom just has nothing at this point. He's toast. I think he gets him with a strangle here. He looks so tired. This is his first match, and it looks like he's been training for hours at this point. Okay, so he didn't get the tap. He just won on the points on that one. So this is his second match. See, he's a little bit better. He's really leaving his leg out there for the single leg and sprawling way too late. Again, weight on the knees. He's still tired, but you can see he's got a lot more energy back. Again, misses the underhook. So the guy throws the arm over, climbs right to his back. Again, the prioritizing of an underhook, or in gi, you can grab the same side lapel and sort of post down on that shoulder, and it creates a similar wall, a similar frame that an underhook would do. But you have to have one of those, otherwise your back is completely exposed and open. So right here, his opponent has his back, scoops up the arm because Dom has a tendency of reaching his arms. So the guy scoops it up and tries to go for like an arm bar. Ever since Dom came to our gym, he is super squirrely. So like if you're trying any sort of arm lock on him, for whatever reason, he's able to twist and bend and get out of there. And so he just sort of like squirms his way out from a lot of these positions. And you can see, again, he's so exhausted, he just sits on his knees while this guy's like up and around him, tries to go again, he squirms out, stays on his knees. And it's really prioritizing knowing what guard you can use to rest. If you're exhausted in a match, you have to have a home base. You have to have a primary guard that you know if you get to, you can catch your breath. If you are dead exhausted and it's a loose position, you have got to know your home base. And I think that would probably be, for beginners, one of the best piece of advice I can give you when you first start competing is you're gonna face people that you're exhausted or tired a couple matches in, whatever it happens to be. If you don't know where you can rest, like where is it safe for you to catch your breath, you are gonna get yourself into positions and then just rest at the worst times. Like you can see here, he's exhausted. Again, the guy turns and cuts over for another armbar. Dom does his squirrely Gumby arm escape. It's ridiculous. Sets up, the guy goes right into a triangle, and I think this is where he finishes him. Right here. Yeah, got the tap. So it's a bummer. It sucks to have been in a situation where simply sitting, feet on the hips, going to close guard would have completely prevented that exchange. I mean, he might have still lost by submission later, but where he was needing to rest and catch his breath and sort of get his mind back into the match, he's missing the opportunity because he's resting when he shouldn't be. And you do all of your preparation, you do all of your cardio, you do all of your strength training, getting ready for a tournament, and still you're going to be in situations where you get gassed. Like you can't always factor in everything. So being really familiar with where your sort of resting positions are. Personally, I have like 2 or 3 depending on the situation. I know I have a really strong sort of low knee shield, especially in no-gi, which I can transition to sort of a deep half. I have like entries and attacks from that position, but I can frame really strong from that position and sort of, catch my breath a little bit if I need to. I can close guard. I have a couple of these different positions that are go-to for me that I can sort of recenter myself and then re-engage. So you definitely need to figure those out, wherever you're at in your training. All right, so this is Dom's 3rd match. This is hilarious. So he goes in, he actually gets better grips this time, but he keeps the same side lapel grip and the arm grip. And so if you're gonna do a really good lapel drag, you have to cross and either go arm or lapel as you're doing. So his actual body posture is correct, but because of his grips being in the wrong position, it throws his opponent real wide. They both sort of like scramble back up, and then as they stand up, he transitions. And if you see, he's actually doing the same sort of hip toss throw to the ground, except this time, because he has the same side lapel grip, he's driving his elbow into the position of what would be his underhook. It completely dominates it. They land to the ground, and then he controls the top side control position. It's beautiful. I mean, it's like really good posture control. He's allowing his opponent right here to kind of hook on his near side leg, and it's not the strongest grip, but what it can do is his opponent uses it correctly here. He controls that leg, swims in for the underhook, and then escapes with sort of kind of a bridge back roll-esque sort of escape. You have to stay aware of these little hooks and grips. When you're in a top control position, he's working on attacking that far arm. It would have been really simple for him to just drop his elbow to the mat, right? Can maintain either the hip control or an underhook, and then just sort of slide his knee back out, drop his hip down, and then sort of re-control that position. Now Dom does a really good job of not just giving up that position. He re-guards right away, and this other guy, classic beginner mistake, hand poster on the ground, allowing his head to be controlled, and Dom recognizes it right away, throws the triangle up. Technically it's a high guard position, and then he switches right onto that arm bar from that high guard. So it looks like he throws up the triangle, didn't quite get it past the arm, and so the guy's driving his arm in, and from that switches the grip to that arm, and it's really, really clean. So I think this is Dom's last match in gi, and this is the guy that he ends up facing in no gi, which is the wrestler guy. And you can see, like, as soon as Dom pulls guard, his base is crazy. He's up off his knees, he's on his toes, his balance is really good. I mean, he just smashes Dom for the whole time. Doesn't significantly threaten him with any real submissions. He kind of gets some grips, but he just exhausts Dom here and just continues the pressure. It's interesting because in a lot of these types of matches, when you feel someone who has really good wrestling in the stand-up, you'll feel sort of that postural strength, and it's alarming. Like, you grab on and you're just like, oh crap, look, what am I doing here? And so you just pull guard. The problem is that individual, if they are a wrestler, they're not going to be pulling guard. They're going to be looking for a takedown or waiting for you to pull guard. And so you have to learn to pull guard really intelligently. You need to get them moving off balance, fake a shot, and then pull guard, so that they're already committed to a movement while you're pulling guard, so that you can establish a significant controlling guard position versus just getting to your butt and then the person's already passing, already posturing, already controlling what you're doing. You can see here, like there's just so much hip control and pressure, but not the greatest technique. I mean, he's a beginner. This guy's gonna be really good. If he stays with jiu-jitsu, this wrestler is gonna be fantastic. But again, he gets to back, and you can see he's using his toes to try to control Dom's leg instead of his heel, where when you hook your heels in and then drive your hips down, you can keep the person from twisting. So Dom just extends his leg, threads over the foot, transitions out, and obviously doesn't fully escape. And so the wrestler just keeps transitioning and just racking points up. He just continues to do it. Yeah, it's wild. Jess faces him in no-gi as well. And they both face him again in no-gi. And very similar look to all of the matches where he's just dominating these wrestling positions. His posture's incredible. When someone like this, like you get into those positions, they're framing super hard, you don't really know what to do. This is where not trying to fight like a wrestler with wrestling, you need to use your guard significantly, understanding that their base is going to be really good. So where your sweeps are going to come from is where you're making him commit to a particular base and then moving your body sort of around that. So this is where like arm drag to back takes are really, really good. If a wrestler is committed to like pressuring on you and trying to hold you down, like those sort of like arm drag type of grips can work really well. If you can get them to base low, you can kind of sit out, scooch around. There's like butterfly hooks. I use butterfly a lot with these sort of positions because their knees are wide and they're based really low. And at the beginner level, a lot of times they don't quite know how to smash pass through a butterfly guard. And so you can scoop in with a belt grip or an underhook and use your butterfly hooks. And they, like, as you elevate them, a lot of the times they start to base real wide. And so you can grab a limb, finish the sweep, or come underneath for single leg X, tipping backwards. Sort of get them into positions that they are very unfamiliar with in the wrestling context can be really helpful. So they present a ton of problems, and it's awesome because it keeps you honest in your jiu-jitsu. You have to know what to do with someone when they're an incredible wrestler. This guy was, I don't know if he was All-American. He wrestled in the college level for sure. But I feel like someone said he was All-State or something like that. So. Again, tries to pull guard, and he just bases in circles, and just continues to pressure Dom. He started to get that arm lock when they were rolling out of bounds, so they had to reset to the middle. He gets the 2 points for the submission as they're going out of bounds, but it wasn't super deep. Dom probably would have been able to get out of it, knowing how good he gets out of arm locks and stuff. Again, get a wrestler to their back if you can. So this is where getting underneath, X guard, single leg X, things like that, where you can use your legs on the inside of their hips and thighs to elevate, tip back, and as soon as if they are a wrestler that is new to jiu-jitsu, usually as soon as their butt hits the ground, they're going to be trying to stand up or turn around, or they lay there and their guard isn't very good. Now that's an assumption, and you never really know for sure. However, that's typically when you feel someone really good, really strong wrestling. Get up underneath them, get an X guard, elevate, tip them back, and try to then start to pass their guard. It's crazy. So Dom in this tournament, he lost his first 2 matches, and then re-gets his head back in the game, wins a couple in gi, loses another one, I think, in gi, and then goes over to no-gi and then just went on a tear. Like, after starting with throwing up, losing his first 2 matches, feeling totally gassed, it's like he got it out of his system. The only match he lost was to the guy who took first, who was, I think he was an all-state wrestler. I'm not sure if he was All-American or not, but it was crazy. This is Dom's first no-gi match. You can see, man, it's crazy. Like, Dom was just in a completely different spot here. The guy pulled guard. Dom's obviously posting his hand on the ground, which gives up the triangle again. You know, he does a really good job defending, elbow to knee connection, posturing, trying to get his head away. You know, he posts right here with the wrong leg. And so his posture is getting smashed here. You can see, but he's trying to slip out. Dom actually does a really good job sort of weaseling his way out of these positions. It's pretty wild actually. So he's trying to extract his arm. Again, pulls it out, passes the guard. Some crazy back roll. This is the kind of thing where it's just like, it's wild. Like your no-gi, again, it lends itself to some of the athleticism and ability to move. He's super scrambled. I think he did some wrestling in middle school, I think, or high school a little bit. But something I would never recommend is like doing like a barrel roll across your opponent. And he does it and then lands in side control. And then takes the guy's back. Really solid body triangle here. And right away goes into the rear naked choke. And I think he does a face smash here. Yeah. Did he finish it? It's close for sure. Okay, so Dom, he won his first no-gi match. He's off to the sidelines. They did a bunch of stuff. The mat got delayed. There was like some computer problems happening. So I don't know if he went and got snacks or something. He had his wallet and keys and cell phone in his pockets. I don't know. He's not supposed to have pockets on his shorts to begin with. He goes out there, starts this match, and starts like losing keys and wallets like as he's... I forgot about that. Oh my gosh, dude, it's so funny. Okay, so he starts this match. Again, makes the same. He does pretty good stand up, like he's posturing, allows the guy to get the underhook, which is just a big mistake. He has a good whizzer here, which stops what the other guy was trying to throw him with. And then switches and goes around the head and arm for the same throw right here. Boom, which is his hip control and body movement to set it up is so good. And he either is not finishing with a solid scarf hold, head and arm control position, or, you know, he has to switch. He needs to switch for the underhook. Okay. And stuff was falling out of his pockets here. In a second, you can see I jump in and actually try to grab it. Right there. Like, he grabs the cell phone. Dom's like, what's that? And then they roll right here. I go over here. Get his wallet. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? Oh, it's so ridiculous. Classic, like, older brother headlock move right here. He's just like, headlock control, you know. Now this is a better scarf hold. He has his hips under the inside arm and gets the straight arm lock. And this is like where you can be somewhat familiar with the position and miss the fundamentals along the way, so you can't really implement it. And this is like one of these, as a coach, when I'm watching beginners, you begin to see positions where people are very familiar with, and what you need to do is find where the gaps are. So with him specifically, it's understanding the weakness of going for that hip toss. He does a really good job initiating it with his body angle. But if you're going to give up the underhook for the head and arm control, you have to maintain the bottom arm pull until you get into that scarf hold position. And luckily, this guy wasn't trying to climb to his back. He was just trying to push Dom off of him. And eventually, Dom got into that good position where he's controlling the arm and stuffed it down for a straight arm lock with the legs, which is brilliant. It's a beautiful, beautiful finish. I love those. There's several options there you have. You can force sort of Americana, straight arm lock, a couple different things here. So this is Dom facing this ridiculous wrestler again in no-gi. So it's just like, it's so tough. The wrestler just like, he does this beautiful in-step pass. I forget the actual name of the move, but it's there. You can actually do it from several grip setups. He kind of had his head bent down. It kind of looked rough on Dom's neck actually, but you shoot in an inside trip, so you kind of inside scoop with the leg. I'm terrible remembering the names of some of these moves. Inside. Anyways, takes him down with it. And so then right here, they're in side control. Again, he was pressuring Dom like crazy. And in side control, Dom throws up a buggy choke, which is just like hilarious. And so the guy, he kind of does it a little bit lazy, can't quite get the ribs, and instead of bringing his head to the inside, one of the first things you can do to stop a buggy choke is you just extract your forehead and drive it right into the ribs. Like you just bring your head to the inside, and so then you can kind of smash your forehead sort of into the floating ribs, then into the sternum, kind of solar plexus area, and it completely nullifies the buggy choke. So if you're there and someone, you feel them reaching with their leg before they lock it up, or as they're trying to, just get your head to the inside. So one, it takes the arm off of the side of your neck, so they're not going to choke the side of your neck, but then also you can create a ton of pressure on their ribs. Doesn't do it, he's just trying to lift his head, so Dom's just holding on here. He's holding onto his legs right now just to hold the position, and then he rethreads it here in a second and gets it deeper, and he's squeezing just for dear life. You can see his face is just all like... Can't quite get it because he can't get his arm deep enough. You really need to get it so that you can bend your elbow in and bring your arm in to finish that. So he's hanging on here. He shoots it. Now the guy on top, his opponent, he actually has his arms in a secondary defensive position here. So if the person has it, if you can bring your arm around the neck, almost sort of like a head control, sort of cross-face position, you can do the Von Floof choke, where you go real deep on that and you drive your shoulder into the side of their neck. And if you can get their head to turn as you're doing it, you'll choke the blood on one side with your shoulder and then sort of smash the blood on the other side with their shoulder and create the same sort of choking pressure. And he starts to set it up and then kind of gives it up here. And then eventually Dom lets go. And it just gets outpointed again, just from just ridiculous wrestling top control position, throwing in hooks. Dom's exhausted. The guy starts setting up a rear naked choke, and Dom's trying to defend the grips. He does a good job keeping it from getting in too deep. He needs to be moving his body here, get his back on the mat, twisting, starting to escape the position. So it's crazy, man. Dom's ability to sort of survive through some of these attacks is crazy. Even in our gym, like I'll throw up triangles, arm bars, stuff, and he just works his way out of it. So he ended up losing on that match. I think these were in the finals. That was like the basically would have been the quarterfinals. He won all of his 4 matches in the bracket, lost to the wrestler in the quarterfinals, so he took 4th. Joshua wins his match in the quarterfinals and then faces, or in the semifinals, sorry, and then faces that same wrestler in the finals. All right, one of the things that this match sort of highlights is just the importance of having someone to coach you. It's interesting how many positions you can kind of miss when you're like the one in the match. During this match, I was coaching Joshua on his finals match. And so I came in at the last, like maybe 60 seconds on this match. But Dom, this is his last match. It was in the finals bracket, fighting for 3rd place. Yeah, it's a good start, good distance, you know. Obviously they're both pretty tired here. You can see Dom gets exhausted later on in the match pretty hard, but he starts strong. He starts really good, you know, grip fighting, controlling the distance, gets the underhook, which is why he's able to counter sweep. So they both kind of went with like an Asotagari, like an outside trip. Dom gets it, gets in top control. The guy starts climbing up for a triangle, so Dom pulls out really well. And the guy just had a really good like C-cup shrimp is what we call it. Or I've been calling it that for years, but other people call it other things. But sits up, takes the top position, so he gets a sweep. And passes Dom's guard here, and it is sort of like an uphill battle from this point. Dom was doing a pretty good job of like trying to deal with side control initially, but without having coaching, without having someone to sort of, you know, yell at him to frame or to hip escape, you know, he kind of stalled out in several positions just holding. Like right now he's trying to get sort of a sloppy Ezekiel choke from the bottom, which again, you know, when you're tired and you're you have your arm around someone's neck. As a beginner, you need to realize that that is not helpful in most situations. You know, holding onto somebody's neck is, when you're in the bottom, is not usually a good plan. Like in the bottom side control and stuff versus a guard if you have a guard. Here he throws in a buggy choke but can't get the distance. Like he can't get the distance. He can't close the distance in terms of when he sets it up. And so the guy's able to frame his elbow apart, kind of maintain posture, and then uses that to go to mount, which I think he gets the 4 points for mount. It would be a little iffy because he went to side mount and then Dom kind of got up. So I'm not sure if they gave him the points there or not, but he gets the back mount anyways at this point. You know, Dom does a really good job, man. He's really hard to submit. Even in the gym, when we're rolling, you know, he is super squirmy. He's super, he kind of keeps twisting and moving his body, getting out of positions. He's really hard to control in a lot of these positions. So he shows that here as well. The guy's not able to submit him, but he does get the points for back mount. You can see here, Dom does a good job kind of escaping out, getting on his side. He's controlling that arm, but he's keeping it around his neck, where if he would just bring it around to the other side of his body, he would have had a little easier time there. But he pulls him off, gets in top position, and I think he passes his guard here. The guy's totally grabbing his shorts there. It's funny. So you can see, obviously, Dom got to the top position, and then he passes his guard, but then he's trying to maintain this scarf hold. Dom does like this position. Unfortunately, we need to work on some specific submissions from here. Without controlling the bottom arm and actually keeping his opponent's shoulders on the mat, that's where he's able to climb out to his back. It's the biggest weakness there. Again, as a beginner, underhooks. Get really, really comfortable. Get really, really familiar with underhooks, all right? Maintain your underhooks. Keep people's backs on the mat. When you feel them getting on their side, you know that that's usually where they begin to have leverage and the ability to create space, where he climbs out, takes his back. Now obviously he's there trying to pass, trying to get back to the back. Dom's doing a good job. Grip fighting. He's setting up a Kimura here, but I don't think he actually knows it from the back here, but it's a great way to escape. When someone does have your back that way, you can wrap up a Kimura and then spin outwards to that arm, and you either tap them or they kind of let go and spin with you, and you're able to recover position from there, which is pretty awesome. But he's just controlling the grip, and his opponent sets up a good back take. Yeah, you can see Dom's pretty spent at this point. Just hanging on for dear life. Again, hugging the head. It feels powerful, you know, schoolyard headlock type position. It is not a good choice in jiu-jitsu. So there it is. But you know, all in all, his first tournament, it was an absolutely amazing showing. He took fourth division, and it was super impressive, man. I can't say enough how proud I am. Both of him and Joshua, they just did an absolute job at this tournament, and yeah, it was really good. So looking forward to Dom's next ones, and hopefully we'll see some more of his action. So awesome.